I'm going to share with you the top 16 exercises enduro racers think they need to do to race a 3-hour plus enduro race at race speed. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to rank them on a scale of 1 to 10 according to how well they actually help on the bike based on the 500 plus enduro racers we've worked with over the last 10 years. So we're going to have a look at some footage here from onboard off-road of Brad Groombridge doing the No Way in Hell Extreme Enduro, which I think is in New Zealand. So we'll get the video underway. The rating system that I'm going to use is a 1 out of 10 being the least effective at building strength and fitness for the bike, and a 10 out of 10 being the most effective at building strength and fitness on the bike. So let's get into it. So the first one that comes up is long cycles, okay, or long bouts of cycling, like going out on the cycle bike for 1, 2, 3 hours at a time. And so generally how riders think this relates to the bike is they think that they need to mimic the duration of the race. So they're like, okay, I'm doing like a 3-hour enduro, like let's say it might be hard enduro here, like what Brad's doing. And they're like, all right, I'm going for 3 hours plus, I need to be able to get my body fit enough to be able to ride for 3 hours at a time, or to be moving for 3 hours at a time. So they gravitate towards doing cycling, getting on the cycling bike and getting out there and getting at it. The reason I'm not really a fan of this, the reason I don't think it's that good for racing, is because when you go and ride and race, there's a couple of very different things that happen between doing an enduro race, like let's say hard enduro like we're watching here, and actually cycling. The first thing that you'll notice is if we look at this bike here, the bike is going to be weighing, I don't know if we're on maybe a 300 here. The bike's going to weigh at least 110 kilos, right? And then if we've got, say, Brad's weight on top of that, let's say he weighs maybe 80 kilos. You've got the rider at 80 kilos, the bike at 110. That's a total of 190 kilos that's being ridden, wrestled around here throughout the ride, throughout the race. So here it's a bit smoother, so he's not wrestling it around that much. But if we have a look, if we go up a little bit further, where things start to get a little bit choppier, when you start to go up hills, you're doing hill climbs, you're going through rock gardens, you are wrestling around and moving a lot of that weight around. The other thing that's happening is there's also G-force from riding. You're moving very fast, and so you're hitting things very fast, and there's a lot of force and a lot of shock going through your body. So you might have 1 to 2 Gs going through your body, which is a fair amount of load. The way that you transfer, calculate G-force over to how much is actually going through your body is you times the G-force by the weight. So if you weigh 100 kilos and you're facing 1 G of force out on the track, it's 1 times 100 kilos. So you've got 100 kilos going through your body, which is a reasonable amount of weight. And that's just you're not going to get that through cycling. No matter how many hours of cycling you do, you're not going to be able to get that. The other thing that's very different, if we have a look at this section here, you'll see, we'll pause it, right? So Brad's resting at the moment. His body's not using any energy. He's having a look at the lines, seeing what's coming up next. So there's very little effort involved there, okay, physically. But then what happens, as he starts to go through the section, now his body is using a lot more effort because he's trying to balance. He's riding on the side of a hill there. It's awkward. It's probably slippery because there's a lot of green grass there. And he's trying to work out his best way to get through the section. Then he's stopping there again. He's moving the bike around, stopping. This is resting, okay? He's resting and recharging there, and then he's going again. So when you're on a cycling bike, you just cycle like that at a consistent effort for a long period of time. Racing enduro isn't like that. You've got parts that take a lot of physical effort and then parts where you get to rest and recharge like we've seen here with Brad. So overall, in terms of cycling helping with enduro racing, I'd probably rate that and give that a score of a 3 to 4 out of 10. I don't think it's that effective at all. It's not something we really focus on with our riders. The second one that comes up is push-ups. So I used to do a lot of push-ups when I was racing over my 14 years. Used to get up early in the morning and bang them out before I got started with the day. So my theory for doing push-ups at the time was obviously you've got, both hands on the handlebars. Doing push-ups is a similar position to being on the bike, like we can see with Brad there with hands on the bike, as we can see with, I'm not sure what we're looking at there, but with this rider on the bike, hands are up on the bar, you're moving backwards and forwards a lot. So I was like, okay, push-ups must be pretty good, right? And that's how I thought it related to the bike. The thing that I missed though is I didn't understand G-force and I didn't understand the load that my body was actually under on the bike. So if we have a look for these guys, so look at this rider here, right? Again, he might be weighing 80 kilos, and then we've got the bike there at maybe 110 kilos. So we've got at least 190 kilos there that he's got to be able to wrestle around or try and move around through this awkward section. So you can see there when he's trying to get the bike going, even though he's using the clutch, look at that. Imagine how much strength, bloody ads. Imagine how much strength is required. Imagine how much energy that's taking out of that particular rider to be able to get the bike back up and to be able to get going again. It's a lot of energy, right? So I was doing push-ups with, at the time, I think I was weighing maybe 75 kilos. I'm doing my push-ups with 75 kilos, but then I'm trying to go and wrestle around 190 kilos when I'm out on the track. Very big gap between those two. So there's no amount of push-ups that I could have done that would have allowed me to build the strength I needed to make the bike feel lighter. And especially for enduro, I raced motocross most of the time, did a few enduros here and there, but it was mostly motocross. But especially for enduro, like where you really are literally wrestling the bike around and getting it through rock gardens and up and down hills, and you're in awkward positions, you can't be just really good at moving your body weight. You have to be really good at moving your body weight plus this 110 kilo bike that we've got there. So overall for push-ups, in comparison to cycling, I reckon better than cycling. I'd maybe rate them a 4. I know with the cycling I said 3 to 4. I'd probably rate the push-ups a 4 because I feel like the strength benefits of doing push-ups are going to be better than the strength benefits you get from cycling. And I think the stronger you are, the lighter you can make the bike feel. The lighter you can make the bike feel, the less energy you use when you ride. So I feel like there's maybe more of a benefit there from the push-ups than the cycling. Obviously, it depends on how good your cardio is, and everyone's going to be a bit different. The third one is interval rowing. Okay, so you'll see a lot of riders doing interval rowing where they might get on the rowing machine and they will do like a minute on, a minute off. They might do 10 or 20 minutes of doing intervals. How it relates to the bike, obviously, like we just spoke about, there's different parts of the track that require different levels of effort. So if we have this looks like a rough hill. So if we look at this rider there, we're hopping around a bit now. If we go back there, we'll just have a look at the hill. Let's see if we can find it again. If we have a look at that hill where the guys were on the side of the hill, we didn't get to see them for very. Let's have a look. Oh, how do we miss it again? Let's see if we can find it again. So if you have a look at these guys going up the hill, so like for this particular rider there, right, he might be using a lot of effort now to be able to get up the hill, right? He's trying to find the right lines. It's a bit awkward. It's a bit slippery. He's trying to hold his body probably over the front of the bike since he's on quite a steep hill, which requires a lot of energy and strength. But then once he gets past that bit, then there's usually bits where you have a little bit of a rest, right? So like for this guy here, you can see he's resting, he's stopping, trying to find his lines, and then he's going again. So that's how it relates to the bike. I think interval rowing is great. It's something we use with a lot of our riders and racers. The reason it's so good is because it relates directly to the racing that you're doing. You're getting your body very, very good at going hard for short periods of time, resting and recovering quickly, and then going hard again, which is exactly what you're doing on the bike. The other thing that I love about specifically the rowing machine is it uses upper and lower body. So when you're on the rowing machine, obviously you're pulling backwards and forwards with the handle, but you're also using your legs as well. So you get the best of both worlds. Whereas if you're using, say, intervals on a cycling bike, obviously you're only using your lower body. Same if you're doing runs. So to give that a score, I reckon interval rows for helping with enduro racing, for me, that would be a 10 out of 10 because we're using the rowing machine with upper and lower body, and then we're using intervals with like teaching your body to do what you want it to do on the bike. I don't think in terms of being off the bike training, I don't think it gets much better than that for the cardio and the conditioning side of things. Number 4 is sit-ups. I know when I was racing, I used to hear a lot, oh, you need core strength, right? You use a lot of core strength on the bike. But over all my years of coaching, which is the last 10 years, and then all of my years of doing fitness, which is the last probably 20 to 25 years, and then all of my 14 years of racing, I've never had anyone being able to tell me why specifically do I need a strong core in comparison to all the other areas of my body. No one's able to give a clear explanation. It's always just, oh, you need strong core, need strong core, need strong core. And it's kind of one of those things that's just been passed down generation, and no one really knows why. So sit-ups are one of the ones that I hear because they're like, oh, I need core strength. But there's no real reason for it. Okay, and even in terms of how it relates to the bike, if we have a look at some of these guys going up the hill, it's like, yes, their core is working, but so is the rest of their body. There's nothing special about the core in comparison to all of the other muscle groups in the body. So I don't think it's that great of an exercise because your body doesn't work like that on the bike. So if we have a look at some of these guys trying to get up the hill, so let's pick someone. Let's see, who can we see? You might be able to see here a little bit easier with these guys. Let's have a look. So let's say for this rider here, right? He's trying to be able to get up the hill. Tough hill, slippery, on the angle, relatively hard riding. But when he's riding there, the thing that makes riding so hard and so physically demanding is every body is working, every muscle is working from head to toe. His shoulders are working, his arms are working, his legs are working, his quads, his hamstrings, his glutes, his calves, his upper back, his lower back, his core, his chest, everything's working to help get him up that hill. So if he was to go to the gym and just bang out sit-ups, sit-ups just isolate the core and just get the core strong. But when you're riding, you're using everything, right? He's using his whole body, not just one muscle group. So I just think there's a lot better exercises that you could be using in the gym with your gym time than just trying to isolate one specific muscle group, because that's not how the body works on the bike. So overall, in terms of a score, I reckon I rated the cycling at a 3 out of 4. I would rate the sit-ups even less than that. The sit-ups would be like a 2. I reckon maybe a 1, like a 1 to a 2 for sit-ups in terms of transferring over to the bike. I just feel like they're pretty much a waste of time in comparison to a lot of other exercises that you could be using to actually help you on the bike. Number 5 is squats. So this is specifically body weight squats, or squats where riders will be like, oh, I need to do high reps at low weight to try and build endurance into your legs. And obviously with your legs, like when you're riding, right, you can see with those guys, you're doing a lot of squats on the bike. We can see here with Brad, you can't really see from the GoPro footage, but they're using your legs a lot. Like if you count how many squats you do up and down off the seat, you're doing a lot. So in theory, like it makes sense that, oh, I would do high reps at low weight to try and mimic that. And I used to do that when I was racing as well. I was of that same mindset. The problem with that way of thinking though, is there's a better way of doing things that doesn't initially make sense, but it will. So when you're building endurance in a muscle group, so let's say for your legs, you want to build more endurance into your legs so that you can get up and down off the seat easier or more frequently on the bike, not sit down as much. The stronger you can get yourself, the easier it is for your legs to be able to get up and down off the seat, and the more endurance they have. So the example I've got to help explain that. Let's say you go in the gym and you're squatting, got a bit of steam coming out of that bike. Let's say you go in the gym and you're squatting, and the most you can squat with the bar on your back with weight on is 100, let's say 50 kilos, right? That's the absolute most you can do for one rep. How many reps, like let's say we took the weight off that bar now, right? So you've just got the bar left, which is usually just a 20 kilo bar if you're training at the gym. Oh, look at old mate here, he's about to flip his bike back, right? You've got a 20 kilo bar, no weights. How many reps do you reckon you could do just with that 20 kilo bar? Okay, so if the most you can squat for one rep is 50 kilos, let's say we took all the weight off, you just had the 20 kilo bar, how many reps do you reckon you could do? Pick a number, okay? Come up with your own number, let's say 20. Now let's say over the next few months you put a lot of time and effort and energy in to getting your legs stronger, okay? And you were able to double the amount of weight you could lift for one rep. So now for your squat, you can do 100 kilos for one rep instead of 50. You've doubled your strength. Let's say we did the same thing and we stripped the weight off and we just went back to the 20 kilo bar. How many reps do you reckon you could do with the 20 kilo bar now? Come up with a number, maybe 40, right? What's happened there is your endurance, the amount of times that you can squat that 20 kilo bar has just doubled, has just gone up from 20 to 40 or whatever number it was that you chose without actually doing any endurance work. And that's because overall peak level of strength will automatically increase your endurance way more effectively than banging out a whole heap of body weight squats. So if you want to get good at getting your legs to do a lot of work, it's not about doing a lot of work with them. It's about getting them stronger to make the load of getting your body weight up and down off the bike a lot easier. So squats, how effective would I say they are overall? I think probably better than cycling, a lot better than doing core work, a lot better than doing, like sit-ups. I'd probably rate them maybe a 5 out of 10 squats, maybe a 5 to a 6 out of 10 in terms of effectiveness with helping you on the bike. Number 6, hand grip strengthener. So we've all seen those springy things that we use to, work on grip strength, get your forearm stronger. And so I guess the theory behind that is trying to be able to get your forearm stronger and get your grip stronger so you can hang on, perhaps so you don't get arm pump, because obviously it's very grip intensive on the bike. And that's generally why I find riders and racers recommend that or try and gravitate towards that. I personally don't like it because you shouldn't be using your grip that much when you are on the bike. So when you're on the bike overall, 80% of the work should be done through your body. So your body, your legs, okay, your quads, your glutes, your core, your upper back, your lower back, all of these big muscle groups are the ones that should be doing most of the work on the bike to be able to steer the bike and keep you on the bike. Only about 20% of the load should actually be through your hands here and through the handlebars. You shouldn't be hanging on for dear life. If you go to any riding coach, I'm not a riding coach, but if you go to any riding coach, all of the riding coaching stuff I've done, they always taught you, relax your arms, okay? Use your legs and the rest of your body to be able to grip onto the bike. So if you're trying to get these small muscle groups here really, really strong enough to be able to wrestle the bike around, I don't think it's the most effective use of your time because they're only small muscle groups and they're not designed to be doing all of the work that you're trying to get them to do. Doesn't mean you don't need grip strength, but it just means the rest of your body should really be the focus. Like your legs here, you can see for Brad, the legs here should be doing most of the work and keeping you on the bike. The handlebars should be relatively free to do what they want to do. Shouldn't be trying to manhandle the handlebars all the time. So personally, I don't think they're that good. I'd probably rate them at like a 1 out of 10. It's probably the equivalent of like doing sit-ups, maybe worse than sit-ups. So I'd probably put it as a 1 rather than a 1 to a 2. Number 7. So 7 is deadlifts. So some riders will use deadlifts. See quite a few of the enduro guys that do go to the gym deadlifting. There's a lot of the motocross guys now at the higher end, like Ken Roxon, Hayden Deegan, those types of guys doing deadlifts or similar type movements. How it relates to the bike. Obviously, you've got a fair bit of weight there that you need to be able to wrestle around on the bike and a reasonable amount of G-force as well. Because the bikes are only getting faster and faster. They're only getting more and more power. And so the more power they get, that means the harder the impacts are going to be going through your body when you're out there riding and racing. Obviously with the deadlift, the great thing about it is you can get really strong with it because you can add load onto the barbell and get yourself stronger. I think they're great. They're one of the exercises that we use a lot with our riders and racers. I'd say in terms of a score with transferring over to the bike, I'd put them at like a 9 to 10 out of 10. They're a great exercise to be able to build overall strength, to get you strong enough on the bike to be able to wrestle around as easy as possible. Number 8 is mountain biking. So a lot of riders will mountain bike, and you'll see a lot of the top guys go mountain biking. I think mainly the reason they post it up is because they're sponsored by those bike companies, so that's what they get paid to do. But the general reason I'll hear for mountain biking is that, like it's similar to riding, it's got 2 wheels, you're going through maybe like some single trail or technical sections, it's good for balance, those types of things. They're the general arguments for it. I'm not really a fan of mountain biking as a off the bike way of helping specifically with the fitness side. There's a few things. Number 1, the weight of the bike is hugely different. A mountain bike might weigh 5 to 10 kilos. This bike here, like a 300, I don't know if we're looking at a 300 here. I'm going to keep saying 300, but I'm not even sure because I can't really say. Is going to be 110 kilos. Huge weight difference, massive weight difference. There's no amount of mountain biking that's going to get you strong enough to be wrestle around a 110 kilo bike. Impossible. The other thing that's different is the G-force, okay? A mountain bike doesn't have acceleration and it doesn't have like as heavy downforce like with braking compared to what you're going to get on the bike. So there's no amount of mountain biking in terms of braking and acceleration that you can do that's actually going to help. The other thing that's very different is your feet are in completely different positions. When you're on the motorbike, your feet are next to each other on the foot pegs and your body is squatting up and down on an even platform. When you're out on the mountain bike, it's not. It's like doing lunges, okay? Backwards and forwards. Even if you've got the pedals like this in this position, or even if you're just coasting down the hill. There's a lot of things that are incongruent with what you're actually doing on the bike. Skill-wise, maybe there's some things that can transfer like balance or concentration and things like that. But on the fitness side, it's something that's not very helpful. I'd probably rate it at maybe a 3 or 4 out of 10. Definitely worse things you could be doing, but definitely not the greatest. The other one is calf raises. So with the development of like riding technique, a lot of riders talk about being up on the balls of your feet. And so obviously for that to happen, your calves need to be relatively strong. Personally, I'm not a fan of just training calves specifically. When you're doing things like squats and deadlifts and those types of exercises, your calves are getting worked out doing those exercises, even though we're not isolating them specifically. If you're just going in isolating your calves on their own, then you're teaching your body to just work one muscle group on its own. And again, like we looked at before, like when Brad's riding here, his whole body's working together from head to toe. Right? He's got his forearms working, he's got his shoulders working, he's got his chest working, his upper back working, everything's working, not just his calves. So there's just way more effective exercises you could do to train your calves with the rest of your body like they're working on the bike, rather than just isolating them on their own. So probably rate calf exercise will probably be down the bottom as well for me. So there'll probably be like a two, especially with effectiveness for the amount of time you've got to put in. Number 10 is leg extensions. So I used to do a lot of these when I was racing because I used to get sore legs, especially like on the top of my quads, and I wouldn't be able to stand up. I'd have to sit down all the time and try and rest them because I was just burning and felt fatigued. So I'd go to the gym and do leg extensions on the leg extension machine to try and get them stronger. That's why I did it. Looking back now, wasn't the right thing to be able to do. Because again, when you're riding, all your muscles are working together from head to toe. Everything's working together as a system. So when Brad's riding here, his fingers aren't just working on their own. His forearms aren't just working on their own. His legs down here that we can see a little bit aren't just working on their own. Everything's working together from head to toe. There's a lot of muscles working. That's why riding is so physically demanding. So I was just trying to like work on the problem area and get rid of it. It's like people who are trying to lose weight who are like, oh, I only want to lose weight from my waist, or I only want to lose it from my back or my arms. It doesn't work like that. Okay, losing weight, you lose weight from your whole body, okay, in equal levels from everywhere. You can't spot reduce. Same thing with riding on the bike. You can't just target the muscle group that gets a bit sore and do more of that and hope that it's going to help you. Might give you a little bit of improvement, but if you want the real improvement, you've got to get your whole body working together as a system. So I'd probably rate them at maybe like a 4, probably a 4 out of 10. Back squats. See, these are getting a little bit more popular, which is good to see. So back squats, where you've got a barbell on your back, with weights on each side and you're squatting up and down. How this relates to the bike, obviously you're getting your legs up and down and moving a lot when you're on the bike. Back squats are awesome. Absolutely love them. Use them a lot with our riders and racers. Reason that they're so good is because they get your legs working and get them a lot stronger. And because we're using the weight and the barbell, we can improve your overall strength. Like we spoke about before for the bodyweight squats, anytime we can improve your overall strength, that's going to improve your endurance on the bike. Okay, so it's all about getting those top line numbers, those maximum level strength numbers a lot higher as quickly as we can, because that's going to make all of those lower numbers a lot easier to move. And that means when you get on the bike, you're going to find it easier to wrestle around. Not to mention the bike's 110 kilos. So if you're in a rock garden and you've doubled your strength, it's going to make it a lot easier for you to get out of there without cooking you for the rest of the ride or the rest of the race. Score for the squats, again, would be a 10 out of 10. I think they're an absolutely awesome exercise and we put a lot of time and effort into using them with our riders. Number 12 is lunges. So lunges are obviously where we put 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. Okay, and you can do them with weights or no weights. I find a lot of riders do them because they use what's called unilateral training. They think that they need to train each body part separately. They're like, oh, I'll do bent over rows with one arm and then I'll do it with the other arm. And then I'll do lunges with one side of the leg and then do it with the other side. I'm not a fan of unilateral training for riders because that's not how your body works on the bike. When you're on the bike, you've got both feet on your foot pegs. So if we have a look here, that's actually a perfect example just there. If we just skip back a little bit. If we have a look at Brad's legs here, when he's on the bike, when he pulls up, let's just wait a second, or did I go back? Might have gone back too far. If you see there where he pulls up and he's got both legs on the bike, what he's doing is he's got both legs in the same position, right? Both feet are on the foot pegs. Those foot pegs do not move for the whole race, right? Your legs might come off a little bit, but both of your feet are on those foot pegs. So if we're teaching our body to work each side of the body separately, that's not how it works on the bike. And same with your arms on the bike. Like if we look at Brad's hands, they're firmly, oh, I missed it again. They're firmly on the handlebars, right? So I'm just going to hop back here because I want to show you guys this. They're firmly on the handlebars. Why do I keep missing this? Let's go back a bit. All right, cool. They're firmly on the handlebars, right? So the handlebars aren't going anywhere. You've got both hands on the handlebars and both feet on the foot pegs. Yes, the handlebars move backwards and forwards, but overall, the handlebars are in the same position. The handlebars aren't two different pieces of equipment that we're moving in different directions. And the foot pegs aren't two different pieces of equipment that we're moving in different directions. Like if you're doing speed skating or something like that, then yeah, I could understand. But we're not doing that, okay? So trying to focus all of your attention on unilateral training and working different parts of the body is not how your body works on the bike. So it's not going to have the best transfer over to the bike. You need to train the body how it's moving on the bike. So doing things like a deadlift and a back squat are way better because you've got your feet in the same position and you've got your arms in the same position. Doing things like a bench press or a bent over row are going to be way better than doing that. But overall, I'd say lunges are quite good. So I'd probably give them like maybe a, like if you're doing them with weight, I'd say probably a 7 compared to some of the other stuff that we've gone through. So let's go to number 13, which is bench press. So what is bench press? Bench press, obviously is laying on the bench and pushing the bar up and down. Well, beautiful timing for that one. Be nice if we got some more moto ads. Where are all the moto guys at with the ads on YouTube? So bench press. Bench press, obviously we're moving the weight backwards and forwards. How it relates to the bike is that obviously our arms are going backwards and forwards, similar to a push-up motion when we've got our hands on the handlebars. And we can see that from Brad and how he's riding. Both hands on the handlebars, elbows up, moving backwards and forwards. Great thing that I love about the bench press compared to say a push-up, even though they're similar movements, is the bench press you can load up with weight. So instead of just being limited by your body weight with the push-up, the bench press you can use as much or as little weight as you want. So if you're overweight and you can't do push-ups, you can go lighter with this and still build strength. If you are lighter and you're working on getting stronger, you can go way heavier than your body weight. So you can get yourself stronger a lot easier with the bench press in comparison to doing the push-ups. That's what I love about it, is it transfers directly over to the bike. It's the same movement pattern that we have when we're riding. We're using one straight bar. We can load it up and get you strong, make the bike feel lighter, move you around a lot easier. You can resist a lot more of the G-force that's going through your body when you're accelerating and also more so when you're braking. Especially if like the Enduro, if you've got like downhill sections where you're really like trying not to let your body fling over the top of the bike, it's going to give you that strength to be able to hold the positions that you want to hold, get over the back of the bike. Bench press, again, I'd rate them on the higher side. So they'd be on the 8, 9, 10, the 8 to 10 range, probably closer to the 9 or 10 range. We definitely do focus on those with our riders, and that's why I think they're a great exercise. 14 is bent over row. So I'm going to talk about the bent over row with the barbell. So if we've got the bar, we're pulling into our belly button and we're bent over. How it relates to the bike is you'll have obviously be on the handlebars. You've got the pushing motion away, which is like a bench press motion, but you've also got where you're pulling the bike towards you. And we've seen that with Brad over here, like going through different sections. Some, like when we're going uphill, obviously you're trying to be more over the front of the bike, probably like he is here. Good example of picking up 110 kilos, right? Lots of energy, lots of effort used right there. So bent over rows with the barbell, I'm a fan of because they're training that same motion that you're going through on the bike. Again, if we're using the barbell and we can put weights on, we're getting you a lot stronger, which is going to make it easier for you to be able to get into the positions you need to on the bike for longer periods of time. Again, I'd rate them right up there. If we're doing it with a barbell, a 9 to 10 out of 10. Number 15 is a dumbbell bench press. So we're doing bench press, but we've got dumbbells in each hand. A lot of riders will use this, or the reason that they use it is because they're like, oh, I want to be able to get both sides stronger. And like when I'm on the bike, I might have one hand going a little bit further forward and a little bit hand going like that. The truth is your hands actually never go like that on the bike. If you look at so let's have a look here for Brad. We'll show you some footage once he gets up. Let's skip forward a little bit. I want you to look at how little the handlebars actually turn as we're going through these sections. So he'll go through, let's go through, actually I'll show you this stuff at the start, which was a bit more flowy, which will illustrate my example. So let's say he's going through here, right? He might be turning and going around corners like here, but look how little, look, he just did a full turn there. Look how little the handlebars actually turn going around that corner. Let's go back and have a look at that again. So he's going down here, he's riding, riding, right? He's going around this section here. Look how little the handlebars are turning. They hardly turn, they hardly move, because most of the work when we're cornering is done by actually leaning the bike and using the rest of the body, not actually using the handlebars. So when you're going and doing bench press and you're doing like single-sided or doing double-sided stuff, it doesn't really make sense to be able to do that, because that's not how your body works on the bike. That's how riders think it works on the bike, but that's not how it actually works. So I don't think they're that great. I'd probably rate them maybe like a 5. Still a lot better than doing sit-ups and some of the other things we talked about. So probably a 5 out of 10. Number 16, so our last one, is balance ball squats. So this is something that I really hope disappears from the industry, because it's more of a circus trick than it is actually something that's going to help. So balance ball squats is where you're doing squats, maybe with weights on top of a balance ball. How it relates to the bike is riders think that you need to be able to, I don't know, challenge your balance because you have to balance a lot on the bike, or it's unstable when you're on the bike. The truth is, you're not that unstable on the bike. You're actually pretty stable. You have a lot of momentum on the bike. Like look at Brad here. He's not using any balance to be able to ride. He's just using momentum to be able to stay up. Yes, through some of the more technical sections, let's see if we can find some stuff here, you might be using a little bit more balance to be able to get through some of those trickier sections. But you're by no means standing on top of a Bosu ball or a balance ball trying to do squats and lift weights by riding a motorbike. The comparison between the two is completely different. If you want to be a gymnast or go in the circus, then by all means, do balance ball squats all you want. If you actually want to get better on the bike, then there's way more effective exercises that you can use. Balance is also relative to the skills that you're learning. So just because a gymnast can balance on a beam, that doesn't mean they can come and balance on a motorbike really well, okay? Balance is specific to the sport and the skill as well. So the best way to get better at balancing on the bike is to get on the bike. Even if one of the riders, Neil Price, that I did work with back in the day when I first started coaching, world level trials rider, multiple time, I think state champion, possibly Australian champion as well, been in trials for a long time. Very, very good skilled rider. He'd practice in his garage at home and just balance on the bike and do skills work. Okay, it doesn't always have to be riding. You can just balance on the bike off your stand and try and get better at your balance that way. Doing stupid exercises like balance ball squats in the gym is just going to open you up. Number one, to get hurt in the gym. You're going to look like an idiot. And number three, not going to help that much with your riding. Way more effective things that you can be doing. I'm yet to come across a person that has been able to explain to me a valid argument for doing balance ball squats and its effectiveness for actually helping on the bike in comparison to all of the other millions of things that you could be doing. I'm going to rate them as like a 0 to 1 in terms of effectiveness for the bike. If you're just going to rely on balance ball squats to try and get better on the bike, and that's your training program, you're going to be in for a treat. I'm going to include a copy of our motocross and enduro fitness benchmarks, which is going to give you an idea of where your strength and fitness is at now and which areas you need to work on. So with these exercises that we've got here, you might be doing some of them, and you might find that some of them are lagging behind some of the other ones. So this benchmark test is going to show you where you're at, show you what you need to work on, so that you've got a little bit of direction going into next year. I'll put the link for that below. Otherwise, time to get at it.